I think I need to do something with this area. It's very confused. Have the feet quite high, the size quite high. Just draw this line in. I've quite enjoyed using the clone brush recently, mainly for the purposes of fading. Don't know why it's changed to pressure. It's only 50 opacity, size 14, just to blend quite near to the source of the cloning. And if I want an area to be lighter, just going from the lighter part to the darker part with the clone. It can always go back the other way. But because you're cloning from very near to where it's going to, you do not get the dramatic changes in tone that you would if it were further away. This whole area needs to be brighter, so I shall turn the size down and try and procure an edge here, just by gently nuzzling out the lighter area. It may need some help from the light and darken brush. That's big, 18 is big, 8, and I'm just going to, it's quite dramatic, lighten the edge here that isn't defined. Come and see what's happening there. Possibly I've overdone that again. This needs to be darker here. At 8 pixels in size, it's bound to have some sharp edges, so I will need to look at it. Just going to darken through this area. I wobbled a bit there. Don't mean to. Now where else is undefined? I think this here. It's hard to tell where one thing ends and the other begins. But they do seem to be separate. So just because the indications are that this is the line of darkness, I'm just going to imply an edge with darkened pixel brush. See how that looks. It's better, but this side does seem to be bleeding. This can probably be a little darker, but we'll see what happens when we push something lighter next to it. That's one side. See a line there. Shouldn't be able to see the lines. It's definitely separate now. This darken this here. Turn the size up a little to away with some of the need for the post lightening and darkening, smoothing. Just build up the light and dark. And this is where I really need to look at what I'm doing to see it. Can't just think, well, it would be logical if the dark was there. So I have no idea what this is. This is too pink. I was like when I should darken. This could be like one of those painting books that you could get back in the early to mid 1970s. One of the first kind that you would get as a child, presumably because it was a lot less messy. It was where you could use water instead of paint on the end of a brush, and the image would emerge, and of course you'd feel very pleased with yourself because you wouldn't understand that it wasn't actually you that placed the colour where it was. This, I think, is a lot like that, particularly if you were to use the median filter method for getting rid of the noise. It would have a softening effect on the whole image. Everything would become a little more blurred. But then you could start lightening certain areas, darkening others, maybe pushing some pixels a short distance to a new location, and eventually, just like those painting books back in the early 70s, your image would magically start to emerge. I did enjoy those books. I think I was quite old before I realised what the trick was. Quite a large brush to drop the size right down to 6 and double insinuate some darkness. I have no idea what this item is. The whole area is littered with mechanical debris. In one of the art styles I used in the prompt, I can't remember exactly what I said, I'll have to look it up, but well, the art style anyway, heavily implied robots. I think it dated from the mid-50s. And therefore, everything has somewhat industrial vein to it. What is that? Too big, too big. Gone. So rather than, I suppose I could mask this area off and try to take the pink out of it. I think it's meant to be metallic, and therefore this is partially a reflection of the surroundings. But then again, it could just be an after effect of the enlarging process. I'm going to try. It's too dark. It's very much too dark. I want to go for somewhere with a similar luminance and just overpaint these areas. Maybe just a little. I can push these new colours around, you see. Can't really introduce completely new colours into a completely different area with the push brush. That has to be done with the clone. I think there should be a line here. It's almost like a little Frank Lloyd Wright house, space age kind of thing. Windows. Which means it could be darker in these areas. See, I've gone light again. Can't make it bigger. So if I remember, I was doing 6, but I've gone up to 10. So 10, and then a 6 overlaying it. This will probably end up with having more detail than the areas that need to be detailed. It's going to take me a while to figure out what it is. Light. Darken. Smaller again. lighter. So just a line here. Obviously the lighter you go, or maybe not so obvious, the less saturation you have. But I found with Paint Shop Pro that if you were to darken the same area again, the saturation levels would return. I think they remain unchanged. So you can't do that with paint. There is a line of shadow there. I don't think it should be there, because where the light is coming from, it should be hitting it. So the light there, and there, so it should be kind of there. Should go crosswise. Yeah. Oh. Let's give it texture. I want this to be a little darker. Or not. Yeah, see how it kind of fits, forming a line there. Now, I don't know if it would do this if what if it was an actual physical object, but let's give it a little more of character. Do this darker. Here. This is a size 12 brush, so that as the level of pixelation you get a zoom of 2000. You wouldn't normally be looking at a print of that zoom, but you can still kind of see it. I might need to smudge it just ever so slightly. It's a smudge brush. Do not like really obvious pixels. And that's probably a weakness. What's happening down there? Some kind of a plinth. We want this edge to be straight, so I'm going to push it around. with it being a 12 pixel brush, it does away with the need to add fade to light and dark, as it has a natural smudging to it. I quite like that there. Can make that a little darker. I have to try and imagine what this is like zoomed out. I'm going to make this more contiguous so it looks like it's a mezzanine. Now, why would this woman have a Frank Lloyd Wright style house in her headdress? Tucked away in there. So obviously it's a pipe from here. Some kind of nut or bones, maybe. Frank Lloyd Wright house. You see, I'm moving with the brush a couple of pixels at a time, very slowly, to get a very crisp line. So here, this is now looking very untidy. We need more of an edge on this. Well, it's a thing. So many green I can bring in. You see, I've been trying that on the hue and the hue legacy clone. That's hue. I want this pink to be more green. Well, it did kind of work though. I swear when I did it the other day, it completely changed colour. You get carried away with ridding the item of pink in this way. Need to go up there. Is that making it lighter or is that an optical illusion? Could get carried away. Does it look better when I had more of a suggestion of the pink in it? This is my top. When it works, it works. There's something more saturated. Getting carried away with this. I think I'll do here. So this pink is just going to have to like it. That's saturated down here. Shouldn't change the luminosity at all, you see? It's only sampling the information about the hue. Try just doing the darker areas. Less pink for now. Because if the reflection is going to be picked up anywhere, it'll be where the light hits the item. I've just noticed I've got this brush on step 10. Doesn't seem to be how it goes. Toward the room now. This is kind of a minty. Oops. So I wonder what the right click of the brush, yeah, silly. Would naturally, I think, be more obscure down here. Silver there is way too pink. Low saturation, but on the green spectrum. Seems lighter to me. I think it's just an optical illusion, maybe. But I'll return to a normal blend mode and very lightly overlay that with something less pink but of a similar saturation. And I still think it's this. A little dark. Let's put that in. I'm going to turn the brush up to quite big. I want to do a little blending here. It's not an area of high detail. And you can see there the difference in perceived luminosity because of the proximity of other luminosities. Do you know what I mean? It's exactly the same colour. I mean, granted that's 30. Let's get a little lighter there. Let's go and stretch. Turn it back up to 50. Change the too slow. The brush is too big. What have I done? I think that was a major disaster. It's just too vivid. Turn the fade rate down to maybe 18. I wonder whether there's a relation between the length of fade, the fade rate, and the size of the brush. So for instance, if your brush is 10 and your fade rate is 10, you must get very short, stubby strokes. Oh, what did I do? Get rid of it again. Get rid. Still a very dull lump. And it looks out as an undetailed area. Make it more angular and add some detail. It's because you don't know what this is. You don't know what would help this area. It's too obvious to colour change there. Sometimes I think if you do start getting into a situation where you're just constantly making it worse, it's better to walk away from it for a little while. Make this area line with this area. I'm very sure. What is it? Lighter here. Darker here. I don't know how it relates to this. It's some kind of an antenna, maybe this thing, which seems to have mandibles. But this is obviously the end of this. I'm just spreading the light along, following the curve. Something happening there. This is an edge here. Dark brush from 10 to 10. Trace that line over. So that's where it should be. There's the places I can do it. Try a little bit here. A little bit more here. Make the brush quite small. One more time. So this goes very quick. Rough and ready shading. It's quite brown there. We're going to blend it. Yeah, there was that much shading on this thing. Not that much. lifting it. So here, I think there's an error. What should it be? Oh, that doesn't look good. We did not here. Let's open this. Continue this down to meet with a shadow. How's that? Would that be darker? This is too pink. More detail there. So just we'll put some lines in. See what happens. So on detail, I'm making darker areas darker and lighter areas lighter. And you see the contrast, and that creates detail. Brush might be much too large. I'm trying to not be too consistent. This area needs to be darker anyway. Okay, so you can see there how large that, even just that 12 pixel brush actually is. Its influence is right there. Even though on the outskirts it may be 0% opacity, right next to it you start to see changes. It's almost like I have it under line mode there. It doesn't matter where I click. It seems to move. It's to slide down the slope. Might be another optical illusion. I dare say if the slope was that way, it would look like it was falling that way. Ooh, that's nice. I'll get it straight. It's there. Well, it's definitely detailed. It's textured. Yeah. Why was I doing it now? It's this that I'm interested in. Presumably this edge needs to be darker because of it's not a flat thing. So logically that should be darker there. No, I quite want to make this area darker as well. So I don't mind if it bleeds over. The worst thing I could do would be to darken on this side of the supposed edge, because then you get a line of light there. So I'm trying to keep it even. 9 pixels might be too small. Too small. Make it bigger. A little bit bigger. Go here. Yeah, you can see how darkening that edge, but I don't want to do it too much because that needs to blend. I'm gonna just tickle the darker area just a tiny bit because I want to be able to see this edge, but I want the shade to be here. Doing it diagonally to seem to cause fewer issues. It's a lot gentler. This is a lot like spit out a cupboard. I need to watch where my pile of dust is going, so it doesn't just disappear. I can drag this up. I'll probably put a little bit of light there. I think it needs light. There. Okay. Inner line. Got the magnification right. It's big. Too big. So big. I still have no idea what it is. What is it? You know the kind of houses that I'm talking about? I think it's a famous one in maybe California, in Nevada. It's built into the side of the mountain, like a shelf. I'm thinking of a different architect. just like that. Do this line of light there. Very carefully. This needs to be more apparent. And it's going over there. Yep. It's quite a large brush. Gives a nice blend. There's darkness to follow this curve. So I've got quite a large brush. I'm going to go to 8. These marks are tiny. I think these are turning into windows. It's very undecisive over here. Indecisive. Undecided. Look at everything on the phone. like it was meant to be there. It has a plan. I don't suppose anybody will ever see the zoom needed to be able to tell that this is actually a little house. We'll let them. I think this is too incongruous. You'd get some shade. I like this block. I think it's like a divot. A little bit. Oh, so this tiny bit back up. This just needs to be darker. I think to avoid being too subtle, if this is ever to be printed out, it can do with maybe being on the bold side in terms of contrast and colour. But now I'm trying to make this look nice, you just have to stand out. Really obvious. Maybe because this is kind of a mechanical shadow. Something that isn't to do with the texture, it is purely to do with the fact that this is behind that. So maybe we don't need it to show. Just a tiny bit. I like the shapes though. Why would it be? Well, let's say for instance there's a line here, and that will impact the shadow. Beautiful little spot on Jupiter. Fallen victim. Sometimes I don't want to leave it. I want to flee. That's it. Well, for a very short period, I became a little obsessed with the phrase. It was something like, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And even though it was a concept quite alien, I suddenly felt like I understood it. But I think it's a lie. You can't allow yourself to go too far. It's better than not going far enough. I might do some clothes on me because that's scaring me. So, 12, 14. How did I get to 48 opacity? What's 60? Get off this. Nice bit of background. Something that's obvious to background. Here, you get the close honey treatment. Just because it's so grounding. It just blends everything. If you know it's, well, even if you don't know if it's background or not. You just build up a kind of an instinct for where you want to clone from too. I think that's what happens. It's inevitable. bit dramatic. You see, I like how it breaks up the bulk of these patches of colour. Can make it smaller. There. Something lighter. Because what I'm trying to do is make all of these blocks of colour smaller and smaller. And you do that by keeping your marks distinct from each other. And when they join up, your lump of colour gets bigger. But that effect almost makes the background the more interesting part. So I just think art should be as well. Because that's the edge. Doesn't help. This is obviously an effect of the enlargement. These would have all been individual pixels. I think I used bicubic sampling and not with error diffusion. Error diffusion, I think, is the one that creates lots of dots, almost like newsprint. Very small. That's why. Should that be continued up there? And then this. There's just an error of much more defined light. It's not made itself clear yet. So it's coming down there. I'm a big fan of tiny increments. It's amazing the changes you can make just by working tiny increments. So here's the line. Just the edges, I should start up here. You can use the Plazoni effect to blend these marks. Take some of the luminance out of them. Try and keep to the line the shape would have. That's what I'm trying to do. Kind of blends. Again with the pink. I'm just seeing pink everywhere, I think. Might be because I'm wearing the new reading glasses that I bought. I think the 2.5 dioptric index diopter 2.75, but I got them with red frames because I wanted the pink to be extra pronounced so that I wouldn't miss it. Got them specifically for doing this. So I may be ultra sensitive to pink. You have to kind of judge which colour could go on any particular place. Can I just blend it? No, I could really could do the whole thing like this. We have an over-assertive patch, lighter shade. Just clear into it, make it smaller. Just make it, yeah, it's kind of a detail. Kind of obvious. Let's turn the opacity down, I suppose. That might be a good idea.